You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, exclusively on ABC Amber TV.
Mutumbu, mama yo, na ya boy go get her. Blue Jay Brothers. Mama you kind, mama you're beautiful, mama you good, mama you're wonderful. No woman like you, mama. No woman like you, mama. Thank God for you, mama. Thank God for you, mama. 'Cause you gave me life, oh mama, queen of my life, oh mama. I will love you for life, oh mama. 'Cause you love me so, oh mama. From small begin, I never forget all the suffer when you suffer for me. Oh yeah, yeah. All the pain and the troubles where I put you through. I remember when money no be there and chop no be there for her. You be the try your best. You go run around, you find us something where we go chop. When I dey sick, you know the sleep, you go the cry all night. You go hold me tight, start to pray, say God make you help my oh Lord. Ooh, I wo ye ye choma, afunga na bere ye funga choma, ambama na bere ye ambama choma, enga na chinu ye ga choma. Mama, I wo ye ye choma, afunga na bere ye funga choma, ambama na bere ye ambama choma, enga na chinu ye ga choma, ye ga choma, mama. Enga na chinu ye ga choma, chinu ye ga choma. Oh, you gave me life, oh mama, queen of my life, oh mama. I will love you for life, oh mama. 'Cause you love me so, oh mama. Ale mama, selelelele. Ale mama, shekelelelele. Ale mama, you're my motivation. You gave me the best education, mama. The song where I sing I'm for you, now it's special dedication to you. Oh yeah, I know say every night and day you pray say make a mama. The God where you the pray I'm for heaven down. Give me this inspiration, mama. The song where I sing I'm for you, now to show my appreciation to you. Be a warrior, ye choma. A funga na bere ye funga choma. Ambama na bere ye ambama choma. Enga na chinum ye ga choma. Mama warrior ye choma. A funga na bere ye funga choma. Ambama na bere ye ambama choma. Enga na chinum ye ga choma. Chinum ye ga choma. Chinum ye ga choma. Ye ga choma. You gave me life, mama, queen of my life, queen of my life. I will love you for life. I will love you, mama, 'cause you love me so, mama. You gave mama, mama, queen of my life, mama. I will love you for life, mama. 'Cause you love me so, oh mama, mama, selelelele. Ale mama, selelelele. Ale mama, selelelele. Ale mama, shekelelele. Ale mama, selelelele. Ale mama, selelelele. Ale mama, selelelele. Ale mama, selelelele. Ale mama. Oh, that's so. So, Mother's Day. So.
The piece of cloth made in Ambazonia, a land brimming with history, courage, and the indomitable spirit of its people, a profound reflection of Ambazonia's collective identity and our unyielding struggle for freedom.
A full representation of who we are, what we are, the history, story, and the struggle. It's a piece of cloth you should have in your closet. It is woven into a rich tapestry of cultural heritage, traditions, and long-standing desire for self-determination. Proudly adorned with unique patterns and symbolizes unity in the Ambazonian people.
The cloth's patterns and colors mirror the courage and hope that fueled their aspirations for a brighter future. Each thread represented a story of bravery, sacrifice, and the unwavering commitment to justice.
The piece of cloth, made in Ambazonia, became more than just a garment. It transformed into a symbol of a call for recognition, worn proudly by Ambazonians and their allies worldwide. It carried a message: we exist and we deserve to be heard. As long as the cloth adorns chests and shoulders, the spirit of Ambazonia lives on, and the hope for a free and united land remains alive. The piece of cloth, made in Ambazonia, a land brimming with history, courage, and the indomitable spirit of its people, a profound reflection of Ambazonia's collective identity and our unyielding struggle for freedom.
A full representation of who we are, what we are, the history, story, and the struggle. It's a piece of cloth you should have in your closet. It is woven into a rich tapestry of cultural heritage, traditions, and long-standing desire for self-determination. Proudly adorned with unique patterns and symbolizes unity in the Ambazonian people.
The cloth's patterns and colors mirror the courage and hope that fueled their aspirations for a brighter future. Each thread represented a story of bravery, sacrifice, and the unwavering commitment to justice.
The piece of cloth, made in Ambazonia, became more than just a garment. It transformed into a symbol of a call for recognition, worn proudly by Ambazonians and their allies worldwide. It carried a message: we exist and we deserve to be heard. As long as the cloth adorns chests and shoulders, the spirit of Ambazonia lives on, and the hope for a free and united land remains alive.
Our vision in this interim government is to make ABC a leader and a real warhorse of our struggle. We want to grow it, expand it, hire and train more hands, and broadcast round the clock, around the world, and take command of the media space of this world.
You can enjoy all round the clock 24/7 exclusive moments of bliss as an ABC Amba TV Club member. A cappella. Latest Nigerian/African movies, global politics, ABC Amba News and updates, historical documentaries, and lots more. In our daily programs we have Undaunted, ABC Amba News, bringing into the news untold stories with Onyi Okpala and Star Smart. Exclusive discussion, revolutionary panel conversation, infotainment, edutainment, intro governmental debates on topical issues with Tar Paddy King, State of the Liberation Movement, Fronting IG and People of Ambazonia's Position, The Struggles Weekly Update with Secretary Martin Mungwa, PhD, FASC. Health is Wealth, Health Education and Awareness within the Ambazonian Community with Dr. Yaya. Liberation Prayer, an intercessory ministry for Ambazonia with Pastor Victor Mba. Our Freedom, spiritual awareness and education for the Ambazonian community with Pastor Victor Mba and Pastor Commando. Church and Politics, neutralizing the myths and preconceived religious and political philosophies that limit the Christian involvement in the realms of decent politics with Pastor Commando. The Horizon, the voice of the Ambazonian woman with Dr. Patience Abiedo and Lady Casey. Our Amber History, bringing to limelight the hidden history of Ambazonia to the world with Pastor Commando. Appointment on community building, education on patriotism within the Ambazonian communities with Ma Rachel Itatima. Ethics for an Imagination watchdog of basic principles and morals of a nation at war with Majority Ngwa. Upcoming programs: Pigeon News, Vernacular Talk Show, County Roots, Activists Corner, Amber Focus, only on ABC Amber Television. We the people, the voice of the voiceless. For 24/7 access, subscribe as a club member on www.abcambertv.com/. Payment method: www.abcambertv.com/donate. ABC Amber TV payment channels: Cash App 202-650-2216, Zelle 240-486-8768, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. PayPal donations at abcambertv.com. For more details, call +124-028-43-111. You can email us at info@abcambertv.com. Payment method: www.abcamber.
Welcome to the Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. This is Dr. Patience Abedu. You know me as My Patience. Thanking you for joining us today, July 7th, 2023. We have a brief program for you today because the president will be coming on shortly. So my guest, Ma Florence Koo, as soon as she joins in, I will give her the platform. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone in the home front, those watching from Ground One, and those all over the diaspora. Thank you for joining us. Our theme on the horizon is Staying the Course. And we are here because you are there. And we want to always make sure that you know that we understand all the sacrifices that you've put in or given into this struggle for international recognition. The theme today is a continuation of a theme from last week about the incessant killing of our children. When will it all end? And remember, last week also we had a talk about the historical facts of our history, of our struggle, of our Southern Cameroon's historical facts, pardon me, what every Ambazonian or what every Southern Cameroonian or what every French Cameroonian should know. That portion is coming up again in a few weeks, a part 2 and a part 3, because there was so much to discuss that our guest last week, which the show aired on Sunday because Friday we had some technical difficulties. So the show that was shown on Sunday will probably be rebroadcasted so that people can understand the depths of what we have gone through. And the part 2 and part 3 will be coming up in subsequent weeks. Today, again, we will be talking about this continuous killing of our children and why and when we think it will end. But before Ma Florence Koo joins us, I wanted to read this brief information that was written just recently by the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum's writer Simon Skidget about our plight. You know, since this struggle started more than 7 years ago, or about 7 years ago, we've had 2 major international recognition of this plight. One was by the Norwegian Center, who wrote a lengthy article about what is going on in Southern Cameroons. And the second one now, where there are more, but those are the 2 remarkable ones. This one that was just written as a brief that was just written recently in May by the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum's writer. And let me just read this section to put things in perspective. The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum teaches that Holocaust was preventable and that by heeding warning signs and taking early actions, individuals and governments can save lives. With this knowledge, the Simon Skijot Center for the Prevention of Genocide works to do for the victims of genocide today what the world failed to do for the Jews of Europe in the 1930s and the 1940s. The mandate of the Simon Skijot Center is to alert the United Nations, the United States national conscience, influence policymakers, and stimulate worldwide action to prevent and work to halt acts of genocide or related crimes against humanity and acts and advance justice and accountability. And you can learn more by going to their website. So this brief talks about the background of our of what they consider the Anglophone crisis or Anglophone conflict, which we know that is a war between Southern Cameroon and French Cameroon. And I'm just going to read the summary and then we'll just head on to the topic of today. Welcome, Maflo. I'll give you a moment to talk in a moment. So the summary of this brief is Cameroon has hovered near or within the high risk category of the early warning project statistic risk assessment of countries at risk of mass killing since 2014. This brief focuses on armed conflict and instability in Cameroon's northwest and southwest regions, where long-standing grievances have given way to conflicts between armed Anglophone separatists and government security forces. The crisis has resulted in over 6,000, and I'll talk about that briefly, 6,000 people killed and over 600,000 people internally displaced. Major impediments to resolution of the Anglophone crisis include the Cameroonian government's commitment to military victory, the splintering of separatist groups, and the international community's lack of attention and prevention engagement. The crisis requires re-energized US and international policy action to halt atrocities and bring the conflict parties to a peaceful solution. Welcome, Maflo. Again, today we'll be talking about the incessant killing of our children and our projection of when this will ever come to end. And I just read that brief summary while waiting for you to come. And they mentioned that the number killed is now 6,000. Remember, for a long time, that number was 3,000. So for whatever reason, they just decided to double it to 6,000. And when we know that it's in the 40s, 50,000. So, Maflo, welcome. Let me give you an opportunity to greet everyone, and then we'll delve into the topic for today.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, my sister, for bringing me on the show. It's always a privilege to, speak to our people on Ground Zero, and a privilege to share my thoughts on what I think is appropriate for people to be able to reconcile with. As for the killings, of course, it's because they're trying to play down the war. They have played it down to crisis between Anglophones and Anglophones. They until the military were getting hot, and they've played down the numbers for too long. There's gonna be a time when they will not be able to play it down, because we have a war library where everyone can go there and see for themselves. The videos don't lie, the images don't lie. So whoever is playing down the war, there's going to be a time because we have said never again, and we mean it, never again. They've played down the number of refugees as well. It's not just the number of deaths, they played down the number of refugees, the number of internally displaced. They claim as if they don't have the number. They do. And they want to narrow it down to just a mere crisis, which crisis don't last this long, does it?
No.
Crisis don't last long. It's war that lasts long. So when they call crisis, that means that it's something that can easily be contained within, within a couple of months, within a year. You can bring it down. But they have not been able to stop the crisis, the so-called crisis, even with their ground dialogue. So now they have played down the numbers again and again. They have suddenly doubled it to 6,000. Very soon they will triple it. We are
It'll be
watching them.
9,000.
It will be 9,000.
Exactly. All right,
We
Maflo.
are watching them.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to ask you some specific questions because we probably have just 1 hour since the president will be coming on soon. You mentioned the Ambazonia Genocide Library when you started talking, and thank God for that. There's also another website that also keeps data on what is happening in our land. Is the Toronto? They have a Toronto website also that is keeping data. But when you go to that genocide library, it's just overwhelming thinking how far back that before the teachers and lawyers went on the strike, things like this was not happening in our land. They call it crisis. You've rightfully say that it's not a crisis. Some of them call it a civil war. Some of them call it an internal conflict. But we know that
Conflict, yes.
it's more of a conflict between two nations, two states, two people that had completely different historical backgrounds. That it's not something within one state. But when you go look into that library from 2017 on 2018, and you see the graveness, you see the different types of atrocities. I mean, one dead body, one child that is laying in the bush is one too many. I don't think people really understand the depth of this. Think about what was before and what is now. It's night and day. It's so much to the point that people are becoming just it's complacency is coming in because you've seen this so much death over and over again, is that it just become normalcy. But are we supposed to just accept that this is normal for there to be continuous killing of our sons every single day? You have somebody found in the bushes, and then of course there are so many that some of them that we never find or hear stories about, they are gone. So Maflo, what can you say about this history that from 2018 or 2017 till now, you're seeing our sons and daughters, my goodness, those are people's kids. I think people fail to realize it. These people have families that are affected. Over to you.
Mape, that question is a big one because when you talk of a genocide, when you talk of a Holocaust, what is the difference between what we're going through and those two? There is no difference. The first thing I want to say is that we should not normalize it. We should not look it as if it's just normal for someone to just get killed and is forgotten, is gone.
Yeah.
That's why we have the right library there, so that those people, they will never be forgotten. We live in a Western world where they honor their dead, they honor their soldiers from 19 from the First World War, which was we began in 1914, and the Second World War, which began in 1939. They have never forgotten a single soldier. Even if you don't have a name, they bury you there and write it as an unknown soldier. I want to plead to Ambazonians, home and abroad. If you see anybody lying in a bush, wherever they bury that person, it doesn't matter whether that person was a fighter or not. The person has died for the sake of Ambazonia. So that person should be labeled as an unknown soldier, because the person dies simply for just being an Ambazonia. Nothing more, nothing less. Whether you have a gun or you don't have, whether you have a weapon or you don't have, you are being killed for just for being an Ambazonia. And that alone is a genocide. And therefore, we should never ever forget our people who died because of this war. They will be called unknown soldiers, even if their names or their families doesn't come to identify them. That is my plea to Ambazonians, because when you go to the library, you become depressed because of the kind of images you see there. And it is our it is our way to show that we love these people. We don't know them, but they're Ambazonians. And I want to plead again that please, we shouldn't downplay on these killings, because it's there. I read something today say Cameroon going to be the next South or Sudan or something, Southern Sudan.
Right.
What do you mean it is going to become? It is already. Are you waiting for Biya to die so that war will start in French Cameroon before you call it South Sudan? It's South Sudan. It's what is going on. But because they have tried to downplay it and cover it from the eyes of the world, then it becomes non-existent. It's our duty to sound it loud and clear that there is war in southern Cameroons. They are waiting for war in Cameroon before they call a war, right? Is that what they're waiting for? Or you're waiting for Biya to die so there's fight in Cameroon so that you will just cover this one? The Ambazonian war can never be covered. So long as the interim government is at the helm, it will never be covered. They have used enablers to kill this interim government and the war. It will never die because those people can never be forgotten. Thank you, Mappy.
Yes, you've made some important remarks here, talking about remembering soldiers that have passed, uh, talking about celebrating soldiers. The United States of America has given a day called the Memorial Day for all the victims of war to be celebrated. But coming back to what we are going through in Southern Cameroons, why do you think that Bia and those soldiers continue to do what they're doing, and the world is generally silent? But why do you think that they feel like they should continue killing our children, and um, and they're getting away with it? And where do you think their instructions are coming from? Because I mean, I shouldn't answer that, but I'm thinking that France is behind this. But this is continuing. Why do you think that they are continuing with this killing, and with the thought that they think they will get away with it?
They are continuing with the killing because no one has called them out. Nobody has called them out. Even those who try to call them out, they are being silenced. And we need to understand the way the West functions. They function on war and they thrive on war. So Wherever there is trouble, that is where they survive. And this has to stop. I'm so happy seeing some African presidents daring to speak up. And I dare say that Ambazonians will not stop speaking. We need to be louder than this, Mape, because somebody somewhere is sponsoring the war. The World Bank, how much did they give Cameroon this year? Did you hear them mention anything about crisis? They didn't, because they know what they are doing. And they don't care about you and I so long as their interest is fulfilled. We have to speak the truth. We have to start daring to speak. Because if we don't, there's nobody that's going to do this. If, like, you see what is happening in France now.
I've got it. Yeah.
That is what is called karma. If they like, they sponsor Cameroon. If they like, let them don't try to stop what's going on in Cameroon. It's going to come back to the back door. And they will pay it big time. If they do not stop the war in Cameroon, it's going to come to their back door big time. So we are on our own, Mape. I've always said this. There's no one to speak for us. And the time we start speaking for ourselves, the better. But it is unfortunate because people who have voices among us that try to speak up, they come and buy them back door and they keep quiet. I'm so surprised. It's like they are saying, this is me. I'm here. Come talk to me at the back door. What nonsense is that? So what kind of activist are you? Are you activist for your stomach? Or you are activist for a people? I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm still wondering. Where are those voices that used to be shouting about Ambazonia? Where have they gone to? So, is this how this world is? So, those babies that were being shot down and killed in Ambazonia, they mean nothing to you. Your stomach is enough. You use Ambazonia to make money for yourself and your family, and you think that you are going to survive? No, you won't. I will say it as it is. You will not. Anybody that has sold any single Ambazonian for money, you will not survive it. If somebody did not tell you, take it from me now. Thank you, Mape. It's so annoying.
It is indeed. You said something that I want to reflect upon a little bit more. You said that we are on our own, which is true. We are on our own. You also said that the international community, which although Tibonar says doesn't exist, we know he was speaking in generalities. The international community does exist. That the international community thrives in parts of Africa that are undergoing some sort of instability. That's where they get their opportunity to exploit more and more. So France is one of the biggest exploiter of countries in Africa, and Cameroon is on top of that list. And we know that France has done nothing whatsoever to mitigate this conflict, to bring the warring party to an end. We can remember that the United States has done two major things. The United States in 2021 had the bipartisan law or bill that was passed by United States Congress as Resolution 684, requesting that the warring parties dialogue and come to sort of solution that is found based on the root cause of the problem. That's one major thing they did. They also, in last year, about a year ago exactly in June, they approved temporal protective status, allowing people from Southern Cameroon or people from Cameroon in general to stay in the United States longer legally because of what is happening because of the war in our country. With that said, you talked about the recent incident that happened in France where the young, it was a 17-year-old French citizen was killed by police and the uproar that came about. And that's just one person, one person. But we have the same thing happening, and we have people that are quiet. We don't see an uproar from the elites, because I would think that with this continuous killing that is happening day in, day out, some of those who consider themselves parliamentarians or senators can just come together and make a big uh, movement against the government, because they will be speaking together in one voice. So you said that people are silent. Those who can talk are silent. They're not saying anything. They know the history. They know we are just. They know we are right. But they are afraid. They are afraid because they think about their own selves. They think about their own families. And the rest that are suffering means nothing to them. But it is for sure that every single Southern Cameroonian knows somebody that has been affected, detrimentally by this war. You could know a family member, you could know a friend, that has been affected. So where do we think we're going with this if this continues? How can we as a people, and this is my next question to you, Maflo, because you've already dissected why it's happening and why the international community will not be the one to help us, we helped ourselves. But how can we really as a people do things differently to make sure that this stops sooner than later?
Thank you, Mape. I think that we need to work more diplomatically. That's what I think. We need to talk to powers that be that can help us speak on our behalf. Because it looks like when we are talking, they are not listening, even though we have done our best up to this moment, we're still doing. Because if not of some of us like you, Mape, who keep sounding, going on Twitter, going on Facebook, going on ABC, and piloting some of these affairs, who would do it? I think that diplomacy needs to play a bigger role here. We need to re-strategize diplomatically, so that some quarters need to hear us, maybe from a different voice. France has heard from us loud and clear, time without number, but they brush it off. The British have done the same. It's just America that is trying to act and do one or two. But we need to open some doors that we have not knocked. Maybe those that we have even knocked, we'll knock them again. That's what I'm thinking. Our people are dying. And it's unfortunate because some people come and say, our people are dying, our people are dying, because they want something to drop in their stomach. But there are genuine Ambazonians who want this war to end. And the unfortunate thing is that La Republic is also in factions. That's another thing that is delaying this war. Some of them want the war to end, some of them doesn't want it to end because that's where their money is coming from. And those who are not benefiting from this war from La République, they want the war to end. Genuinely want the war to end. But the powers that be in Cameroon benefiting from it doesn't want to end. That's where we find ourselves, Mape.
Yeah.
If not, they will not go to Canada, turn around and say they did not go because the talks in Canada did not favor them. If not, they will not have talks with Yuktabe behind the bars and then turn around and say there was no talks going on because it did not favor them.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, there are some Ambazonians that cannot be bought. So I am wondering what we can really do. We need to try to talk to the powers that be, that maybe a different voice that can speak to somebody like France. Maybe we need to meet some, some African leaders who are speaking up now to try and talk to France eyeball to eyeball, like what they are doing now, and tell them, look, this is what it is. This has to end. They are just saying, generalizing to France that France has to end the imperialism in Africa. But then they should try and be specific, a little bit, be specific in some areas that are really suffocating from the hands of these heavy-handed Franks. Yes, that's what I think, Mape. Thank you.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And from what you said, I want to just say a couple of things. You talked about diplomacy and said we need to reach out to those that we've not reached out to and other things. Hopefully, the president is coming on today, and we don't know what the president will tell us. So we're looking forward to his visit on ABC and reaching out to Ambazonians and the world at large. But the president has always said this, and he says this time and time again that La Republic that does not work hard to get this conflict resolved will never be a peaceful La Republic. They will not thrive. And if Amazonia doesn't thrive, La Republic will not thrive. So it's in the best interest of La Republic de Cameroon to support Amazonia to exist and thrive, and it will then benefit La Republic to thrive. But you said something else that we should knock at other doors. I'm also saying that let's knock at the same doors that we've knocked at before. It reminds me of that story in the Bible where, and I may not be quoting it well, where Jesus was saying that, what if you are going to, uh, uh, there was this person or was a leader that somebody kept on going to ask for something, and just because the person was asking every time, constantly, the king didn't want to give them something, but this person was relentless, asking over and over, and he just had to give it to her just to get her off her back. So it's the same thing that we can continue just pushing at the same quarters that we've pushed before. And we may get results from somebody who will just say, okay, I just going to do this for these people to just get them off my back. Something to that effect. I don't know if you remember that story in the Bible. I didn't really look into it before coming on the talk today to really get the details, but it just occurred to me that that's something. And even me personally, sometimes somebody will ask something from me, and I may not have the opportunity to give it to that person at that time, and I plan to give it later on. But the person continues to ask, I'll just give it just to have a peace of mind. So that's something that we can continue doing diplomatically, going to the same doors that we've gone to over and over again, and maybe one day that window will open for us. So the thing that I want to bring up next is about those of us who are really in this struggle, because you know that in any movement you really have just a few people doing the most of the work. The others are just observing, and when things start going well, that's when you find them trying to find a way to get in, That's when you want to see them, they want to join the bandwagon. So, but those the few Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians that really believe in this fight that we are for international recognition, because that's what we are fighting for, international recognition. We believe that we cannot be the same one people with La République du Cameroon. So the only alternative is that we should be recognized internationally as a nation of its own with all the triplings that is deserving of a nation. With that said, we know that a lot of people are just followers. They'll wait for the right opportunity to come. What is your message to those who are the doers? You know, you've already mentioned some of us that are doing tweeting and all the like. What is your message to the ARFs that are there on the ground? What is your message to those family members that are supporting the ARFs? What is your message to those who are in the county leadership, in the federal leadership? What is your message to them?
Yeah, I want to pass a message to Ambazonians as a whole. I made a statement that we need to re strategize because some people are quiet, maybe because of the leadership in their counties is not really doing well and push them to the back. They're just quiet and they're not doing as much. So that's why I was talking, that's why I made that statement of re strategize to bring back the ones that have gone cold and see how we can maybe use, I don't know, whether a style of leadership uh, to rekindle some people's spirit at the level of counties and LGAs. Uh, we had discussed about this, but we have not really kicked off to see how we can do that, how feasible, because we are used to the LGA county by county structure that has really been working. If we can revise it in a way that can rekindle some minds, some Ambazonian minds, because the era of Ayuk actually swept some people off their feet, and they did not either follow Ayuk or stay with the interim government. And the era of Copas came and did the same thing, and people are just so disgruntled because they see it as infighting. They don't want to see it any other way. So if there is a way we can rekindle this, it will be helpful. That being said, some people need to be tickled, you know, wake them up, and that needs a lot of talking and a lot of encouragement. If you talk down on somebody who has been given a dime, that person will not even give it again. If you talk down on somebody who has been doing something, the person will not do it again. It means you are indirectly telling that person, shut up, and it's only me that can speak. We need to change our mentality, the way we talk to one another in Ambazonia. I know emotions sometimes run very high, that we don't care who we talk to, or we don't care the kind of, the way we approach things. We need to remember that we were not trained to be fighters. We grew up in Ambazonia being so soft hearted, and anybody that entered Cameroon before the war will know that there are two different countries. Even now that there's war, there are two different countries. So there are no two ways about this. And I wonder how some people think that Cameroon is one. I'm struggling to understand this. I'm struggling. And La République has sold Cameroon outside in such a way that when you tell someone that you are from Cameroon, the next question will be, oh, so you speak French. That annoys me. That annoys me to the core. So you speak French? I say, no, I don't speak French. I say, why? I say, I'm Southern Cameroon. I'm not Cameroon. I mean, true Cameroon. I'm from Southern Cameroon. Now, that will bring the next question. Where is Southern Cameroon? Where? I say,
Mhm.
hey, you see, you need to go and read history. Don't just see someone say Cameroon and they start talking about French. This is how bad it is, Mabe. It doesn't matter whether the person has ever been to Cameroon or not. They just know Cameroon as French.
Yeah.
And that's really annoying. We need to do something about this. I had to write a letter. I had to write a letter to the National Health Council that look, Cameroon, they're not one. And I argued my case and won my case in my own work, place of work, and I won my nursing appeal because I said Cameroon is not one. And I polished my English. I made sure that I come in there and speak like a Southern Cameroonian. I said I don't know French from no Adams. This is what we need to start doing at the international stage. Argue your case out so that some people will have no choice but to go and read. You know,
How?
they will go and read. That is how passionate I am to no longer call myself a Cameroonian anymore, but as I'm an Ambazonia. That's
How
how some people are
remarkable.
going to know. Yes, there's no more Cameroon in my mouth.
Yeah.
It's Ambazonia. Oh, I call it Southern Cameroon just for some people to have a glimpse of it. When they start asking questions now, no one will ask me again, oh, you speak French. Now I'm
Mhm.
cool. You know? So please, we are not one and we can never be one. That is the issue. Thank you,
Yes,
Mabe.
Ma. Thank you so much. I like that passion in you that you believe that you are Southern Cameroonian and that should never be mistaken for a Cameroonian per se that is more a French Cameroonian. You're a Southern Cameroonian. You're an Amazonian. And you've said quite a few things that, they bring back to me the thoughts of what happened in the past that has made those of us who are on track uh, a small core. And you said that we need to find a way to re-strategize to bring back some of those that fell on the way, uh, and the day after Ayuk was locked up, and during the struggles when Ayuk decided to, instead of supporting this one government, decided to create another government because that's where the divide started. Um, and there was really one person that really was the engine manipulating things from the background. It was really Cometa. I don't want to go back and rehash things because I think when I think about this, I get so upset and I wish that Cometa was let go long time ago when he went to APNC, because he went to APNC as a member of SCNC and not as somebody who was the head of the defunct Restoration Council. But because of what he did along the way till the coup plotter emerged, he is he stands the person highest right there that has created all this division. It's a work of Cometa. And I don't know whether he sleeps at night and is impressed with himself for what he's done. I don't know whether he, from the very beginning, cared about what was happening to Southern Cameroonians, because I would say some of this killing is on his head because he has not done what was supposed to be done to mitigate things. He instead caused more problems. So I am really, really, really upset with that one individual. With that said, you've mentioned that we should find a way to encourage other people to come back. We should find a way to uh, make sure that when we talk to people, we don't talk down at people. We should encourage people. We should embrace people. People come with different strengths. They come with different gifts in this struggle, and we need to embrace all and appreciate everything that everyone is doing. Um, The strength of our struggle has to do with the organization of LGAs and counties. In the days of Ayuki Tabe, they had uh, county where you talk about, I'm sorry, they had country where you talk about the United States, you talk about France, you had Britain, where you had people in these countries are as representative. Now we're talking about counties, which is a better format because it reflects what is really on the ground at home front. So we need to be able to find, from what you said, I'm just paraphrasing, we need to be able to find a way of strengthening these LGs and counties and making people more active within them so that the more we are uh, with our using our different gifts, we can push this thing. Because again, as you've said, and I believe what you said, that it's really up to us. When we get to that point, when the international community will listen to us, they will listen to us. But we have to do the work to get to that point. And that work means that we have to be very savvy on the home front as we defend our territory. We have to be very savvy diplomatically. And I'm sure the president has more information on what he's been doing diplomatically, that when the right time comes, he will share with us, because we are fond of the ones, cutting our own toes when the opportunity is given to us without thinking about the future. Maflo, I want to go back for us to remember some details in terms of, it doesn't have to be details, in terms of those lives that for the past 5, 6 years have gone, some of the genocide, some of those individual killings. And one thing that you may want to even respond to after you remember, I want you to talk about some of the killings that really, when you think about it, you're so upset, that brings back very dark memories for you and still haunt you. And then also the perspective that our young sons are being killed in such large numbers, that what is the projection in the future for our daughters to get married to our own sons, to continue as our own people, Southern Cameroonians? Because this is an ill effect of this war. All these are sons that are being killed. It lessens a pool, a choice of potential husbands. I think that's a crisis that we will end up facing if we are not careful. I'd like you to talk to those 2 points.
Uh, you know, when the devil wants to destroy you, they look at a stronghold, and they know that our stronghold is our young men. That's what they are doing. They want to destroy our young men. And um, let me talk about the Holocaust of the Jews. When they killed them, they never had an idea that the Jews were going to still be spread all over the world. You know, uh, there's going to be a time when you're going to go back to polygamy, but that's not even the issue. God always knows a way to turn things around. That's why I believe in Him. He knows the answer of the oppressed, just like, I mean, they are going to be shocked of what's going to happen to Ambazonia. We're going to be the beacon of Africa. It's not a doubt. I don't have any shadow of doubt in my mind about what's going to happen. You do not oppress a people and they remain on the ground. So long as the Ambazonians crying out to God, you know, and we have a leader who is so passionate about God. Talking about killings, Mape, this burning in the house, burning of people in the house, eh? The fresh one is the queen mother of Mjan. That's the fresh one. Ma Abi. And there was one man that was carrying his that image will never leave my mind. was carrying his burnt child in his hands.
Mhm.
That image, whenever I think of Ambazonia, that image comes in place a video in my mind. I will never forget that. This is horrific. How on earth, no matter the color of your skin, can somebody allow this to be happening to a people? Where is the international community? Where is the world in this? Is it really because we are black people? Is it? I mean, I know they like to get their interests first, but please, I am pleading on behalf of those who have been burned down in the house. Whoever can hear my voice should do something. I'm just a woman, just crying out from my heart. This is a cry of a mother who would not like to see her own child burned down in a house. A 17-year-old was shot in France and the whole country is burning. Why is Ambazonia this different? Why? Is La Republique so special? What has La Republique given to the world that no world leader has called the man out? What's happening? Burning people in houses and they call it professional soldiers? Just to mention Mape, in this country, the soldiers that kill civilians in Afghanistan,
Mhm.
ignorant civilians, they have been jailed. There was one, was it Australia or Canada? Which country recently jailed their leader? They dragged their leader to court. They
Mhm.
had honored him and they have dishonored him for killing innocent people. Why is Cameroon different? Why is La Republique different? Where are those who shot those two children on the back of a woman? Where are they? Have they been honored? I say yes, they have been honored because the lie that they jailed them is a lie. And we all know what Cameroon is. One day, Mape, we shall go to Boya. I believe that with all my heart, without a shadow of a doubt.
You know,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Yes, we all believe in that. That's why we are here. We believe in that because um, it all lies in our history that shows that we were separate people. And from the very beginning, we were never welcomed by the French Cameroonians. We were always considered as the others, not part of people that are considered as equal in equal levels, that we can also hold high positions in government and all the like. We were always substandard. There was a tweet by Thibault Nash a couple of days ago. Uh, you talked about all this burning, and that brought my reminded me of this tweet that showed a picture of the area, some area being burned. Says horrendous report on violence in Cameroon's Anglophone area, in parentheses Ambazonia. I like him. He always uses the word Ambazonia when he describes us. I give him credit for that. Against an innocent population. Where things stand, nothing will be done. Yet more evidence that people on the ground must have a choice about their future and the diaspora must unite. So that is his comment on the tweets. And then if you go into the report, it's a report by Amnesty International, and this was just July 4th, 2023, a few days ago. Cameroon, rampant atrocities amid Cameroon amid Anglophone regions must be stopped and investigated. People caught in the crossfire as multiple actors clash. Defense and security forces, militia, and armed separatists responsible for killings, rapes, and burning down of houses. The Bururu Fulani community targeted by armed separatists. Individuals who speak out against these atrocities are being threatened and arbitrarily detained. So they give all these highlights, but there's one thing that they forget. The one core thing that they forget is if France, because let's be clear about this, France is really the person ruling Cameroon. If France were to give some uh, instructions to the Biya government to pull the army out of our territory, we don't want to use the word ceasefire because we are just defending themselves. But if Biya's government were to just tell, because we're asking this question, when will this all end? If they would just tell that all this French military, the bees and all the like, should leave our territory, back to their territory, then all this thing that they say must end will end. Grant you that there are some few elements out there that have taken advantage of this to commit crimes. It will be easier to fish them out when this happens. It will be easier to fish them out and detain them and lock them up. But if they continue staying in our area and continue all these atrocities that they are committing, then there will come a time when hopefully we would have done enough by ourselves to make the international community react. Because again, I agree with you. It's really up to us to work hard to initiate what is important to bring this to an end. While we wait for Maflo, I'm gonna. Okay, she's back. So I read that Maflo to say that this is a recent thing because you talk about burning, and the picture on that Twitch shows a vast area that is being burnt. So this burning is continuing. When they're burning like that, Maflo, the idea is to have people flee away. These people will run where to? They will run to safer places that they consider as safer. Some of them end up as the IDPs and I don't really want to call them IDPs. They call IDPs those that are living in La République du Cameroon. Although they are called IDPs, they are there because at one time Cameroon and Southern Cameroon were one country. But that's where they can find some sort of safety. But they are not safe there because those people are suffering. They are being asked to work as indentured servants, and getting very little money to survive on. Some of them are just staying on the streets as, being raped, or some of them are prostitutes, the young girls. But this goes back to say that we have to do a lot. We have to do a lot to get this thing moving. We cannot just take our time and just have 1 year go by, 2 years go by, 3 years go by. Our students, our children that have been born during this time, some of them have not had an opportunity to go to school, or those who have gone to school have had their education slowed tremendously. Those are all things that we'll figure out when the war stops, But those are all the ills of wars, the pangs of war. Over to you, Ma. I know you had something to say about all what I just said.
Yes, Mape, you talk about ceasefire. We cannot cease fire because we no be light am. No be light.
Absolutely.
Anybody who light the fire should get ready to seize it because we are not seizing any fire now. If you come attack me in my house and somebody stand somewhere and say I should cease fire, how? How do you want me to cease fire in my house when somebody came and light fire on it? You burning me inside my house, and then you turn around and say I should cease fire. The one that should cease fire is the one that came in to attack me.
Absolutely.
And it's so sad that some I don't know if they're Ambazonians though, have said they should that people the fighters should drop their gun, or there should be no more ghost towns. It's not working. They've tried all ways. You cannot cannot be telling me to stop being angry when I'm being killed. It's ridiculous. That's what I'm saying. Some people just stand up to make drums so that people should see they are making drums. And in terms of international community, Mape, I don't know what I'm gonna say, because am I still on air?
You're on air. Just continue. We're just seeing the images of to show people what is going on. You're on air. Go ahead.
You just reminded me of that image. That image, it used to. I mean, it's so sad. It's so sad that people are going through this in 21st century,
Yeah.
and La République du Cameroon and France, they want to maim us. They want to maim, when you don't yama yama on top something, it chases the thing don't tire. They are surprised that up to now we are still fighting. And I want to congratulate those who are still standing. I want to give them kudos. I dove my heart up for them. Those who refuse to bow down to the enemy, because as we are still in this war, it's because of those who are on the ground who has refused to bow down. That's why I said anybody that has died, either the person was holding a weapon or not, the person has to be honored. And you made a mention of those that have been born during this war. Do you know that I saw a video of a 5-year-old girl
Mhm.
saying how if she hold police, she will scatter the head of a
Mhm.
policeman?
Mhm.
A 5-year-old. That's someone that was born into the war. The
Mhm.
only the only thing that child knows is the sound of a gun and running
Mhm.
like those people who are running the bush there.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's no difference.
Look
A
at her.
child is saying that uh if I catch that janame, I go scatter a head. Look at our young men
Mhm.
being killed. Is that
Mhm.
okay? Anybody in the international community to look at it and say this is not a genocide? You just bundle people in one group and you shoot them, all of them. You don't keep even. I mean, what crime? What crime did these people commit? They have used all kinds of manipulation. Even all women in the village, you go and manipulate them to come and
Mhm.
stand and fight against the fighters. But there's never been a day those women will come out to say, I don't want these La Republic soldiers, even though the barracks are being built in the village. So if you say there is no war, which ceasefire you dey talk? Now,
Absolutely. Yeah.
if you play down on the, there is nothing like cease crisis now. If you call something a crisis, then you cannot come and say let the crisis cease, or this side should lay down their weapons. If it's just crisis, means that you're talking with two sides of your mouth. We no be light fire, so we no fit seize am. Na my final talk with that one for that topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We didn't light the fire. We cannot seize it. So, because again, the point is that La Republique got into our territory. Let them leave. When they leave, then we will not have any need to fight anybody. That's just as easy as anybody can understand. It's just common sense. As long as they are in our territory, we'll continue defending ourselves and our people. And I just want to thank the technician for showing some of those videos on pictures. There are things that uh, people should realize is that those are families, those are children or fathers or brothers of individuals that are gone in such a horrific manner, because La Republique targets civilians. They are not really going after the people that have the weapons to defend themselves. They are targeting civilians, innocent people. Sometimes they will kill these innocent sons, 13 years old, 14, 15, 15, very young boys. And then after that, they will put a Dane gun on top of them, which is what they used to do in the beginning. They are doing it again. They've started all that atrocities, which I'm sure the international community is seeing all this. There's one thing that I will say about the United States of America. I'm positive that they are keeping track of this. They are seeing all this and documenting, because the fact is, something like this will not happen in any part of the international world and go unchecked. But it's happening in Africa. Who cares at this moment if Africans themselves do not care? And the question also is, what is happening with the so-called African Union? Um, why are other African leaders so afraid to come together and say something on behalf of Southern Cameroonians? Why are they afraid? Are they all in the pocket of Bia? Is it a black man's club? I would use that word phrase, like here they say white man's club. Did they have a black leadership club where the presidents in Africa will be quiet about the deeds that are horrible by their fellow African leaders? Is that what is going on? Because we still haven't had any strong support for Southern Cameroonians from any of these so-called leaders. But the day of reckoning is coming, as you've said it, Ma Flo. We believe that we will be recognized as a 55th nation in Africa. We believe that will be the jewel of Africa someday, just like Rwanda is. Rwanda went through hell and now they have a beautiful country. We will do so much better, I think, because we have so much talent. Again, I mentioned that there are some people that are just waiting in the periphery. When the opportunity comes, they will jump on board, and some of them will bring that talent to develop our country. In the meantime, those who have the energy, have the financial resources to stay the course, please stay the course. Those who are there supporting them, please support them in one way or the other. But let's speak with one voice to get this thing resolved sooner than later, because we know it will be resolved. We just want it to happen sooner and not later. Marflo, I'm going to have you give your closing comments because we're going to be ending soon. The president is coming again. I'm inviting everybody to just stay on your devices. Those that are watching from the home front, the president will be coming in a few minutes to talk to you. And all those who are watching in the diaspora, please don't go away. So, Marflo, your closing remarks on this topic, and then in the future, I know you will come back because you are our guest on the horizon, and we really thank you for being here. But your closing remarks before we close the show today.
Thank you, Mapi, for inviting me. I want to say something on the African side. There is something like African Union, but there's not really African Union, if I must be honest with you. Uh, I remember when the war began, different African embassies in Yaoundé were heavily bought not to expose, not to talk about it. Uh, was it Central African Republic, if I can remember? There were some people that were trying to speak, to say something, and they were shut up. So the La Republique had destroyed or bought them over diplomatically, those are embassies that were in Yaoundé. If you don't, then you pack out or your life will be in danger. That's how they began. If I remember very well, the international community reacted. Every leader, every single leader from Commonwealth to United Nations to individual countries that went to Cameroon were bought. Every single one of them was bought. So I think it hasn't changed. It has not changed. Some few new African leaders have come up, and I think in due time they will start talking because they cannot go and challenge the West and leave their own house. Because questions are
Yeah.
already being asked. You went to Ukraine for what? When Africa is burning. It's not only Ambazonia though. So I think that in due time they will start speaking. And that's why I think we, the interim government, need to take advantage of the new governments that have come in Africa recently and start talking to them. Even though I saw President Tinubu we already mingling, dancing on the same platform with France and Paul Biya.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
doubt how he's gonna listen. But apart from that, there are other few ones that are really independently thinking straight and they can say something. And I trust that God will speak through somebody to speak for Ambazonia. And I pray that by the end of this year, Ambazonia should dance a new dance. I believe that Ambazonia will be free. We must be free. Come sun, come rain. I want to encourage those our people down there. Some of you think that we are sleeping in the comfort zone. No. The only difference between you and I is that I'm not hearing the sound of a gun. That's the only difference. So please hold your ground. Do not back off because La Republique has to be on their knees for us to survive. That is what we have to do. Thank you, Mape.
Thank you so much, Flo. You said a great number of important points at the closing statement that it's just a matter of time that will be our free Southern Commons Amazonia, and that those new players on board that are leaders in the continent of Africa, that we should start engaging with them, even though some of them have been seen uh, with Macron. Um, yes, it is true that a lot of African leaders' eyes are being opened uh, in terms of the fact that French influence is basically one of exploitation of Africa. And the sooner they realize that, the better. And I can't wait for that day where African leaders will be African leaders, that their sole purpose is to be uh, to take care of their people, to make sure that they are not in the pockets of others who control their thoughts and deeds and actions. That they should come soon for the sake of Africa. Um, I want to also thank you for giving hope to our people, giving the advice that people should speak to others in a respectful manner, to not talk down to those of us that are few of us remaining, so that we continue doing the work. Those who are giving money financially, so that they can continue. And more importantly, you also mentioned that those who've been on the left aside, that dropped on the way for one reason or the other. Uh, your home is home. You cannot drop away and not return home. Come back home so that we can get this thing done together and free our land. And God is there leading us, and Africa, Southern Commons in Africa will be a great nation, and that is going to be happening because God is on our side. As we end this show today, I want to just take a brief moment to remind those of you that have not gotten your Amber wrapper. Before the show started, there was a brief advertisement. Please do so. Every Southern Commons, if it's in your gut, if you believe that you are supposed to be a free nation, then you must get that wrapper. There's no reason why you shouldn't get the wrapper. You believe in the Ambazonia, then you should get the wrapper, because that is something that shows the spirit of an Ambazonian. It shows the commitment to stay as an Ambazonian, because you will never be a Cameroonian, a French Cameroonian, if I have to be specific. You are a Southern Cameroonian and Ambazonian. And that wrapper is a symbolic gesture that you mean what you say and you're showing it by actions. So please reach out to ABC. My Emma Endele, the director of ABC, Amba TV, reach out to her, reach out to Director of News, Paddy King, reach out to myself or anybody you know, Dr. Yaya. I think it has been shipped. I understand from Dr. Yaya that they've already shipped a consignment to Europe. So those of you in Europe, please reach out to Dr. Yaya and get your piece so that come October 1st, we will be seeing pictures all over the place. There should be a video of a show where those in Germany, those in the UK, those in France, those in Spain, those in United States, in different states are wearing that fabric to show the pride of being a Southern Cameroonian. I want to thank you all. We are staying the course, and hopefully next week we will have your Lady Casey as your host. And stay tuned for the Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. Thank you for being with us today. God bless you, and stay tuned for the president coming up soon.
Bless
Thank you
you.
so much.
Piece of cloth made in Ambazonia. A land brimming with history, courage, and the indomitable spirit of its people. A profound reflection of Ambazonia's collective identity and our unyielding struggle for freedom.
A full representation of who we are, what we are, the history, story, and the struggle. It's a piece of cloth you should have in your closet. It is woven into a rich tapestry of cultural heritage, traditions, and long-standing desire for self-determination. Proudly adorned with unique patterns and symbolizes unity in the Ambazonian people.
The cloth's patterns and colors mirror the courage and hope that fueled their aspirations for a brighter future. Each thread represented a story of bravery, sacrifice, and the unwavering commitment to justice.
The piece of cloth made in Ambazonia became more than just a garment. It transformed into a symbol of a call for recognition, worn proudly by Ambazonians and their allies worldwide. It carried a message: we exist and we deserve to be heard. As long as the cloth adorns chests and shoulders, the spirit of Ambazonia lives on, and the hope for a free and united land remains alive. The piece of cloth made in Ambazonia. A land brimming with history,